Good morning from the One News team. Today we have some hot topics and include talk about the big three post-war relationships and a reporter in the field talking about the Great Divide. Also, later, between two experts we have a debate. Our first story is on the big three and their post-war relationships. The big three consists of Churchill, Stalin, and Roosevelt. Churchill was taken out of power when the Conservative Party won the election in 1945, and later Churchill urged the U.S. to conduct nuclear strikes against the USSR to help win the Cold War. Stalin, after World War II, was still in great power and had dominated many states which his armies had liberated from the Nazis. Roosevelt did not do as well. The doctors, after examining his body, told him the war had done a great deal in his heart, and his heart looked wore out. While on vacation, suffered a stroke and died 2.5 years later. And now, for more on the Great Divide, here's Delwyn in the field.
Thanks, Dalton. I'm here now in Berlin, Germany, a year after the Potsdam Conference, where the Allies, Great Britain, France, the United States, and the Soviet Union decided to split Germany and the capital of Berlin into 4 parts, each taking one of the 4 sections. West Germany has become a stable democracy, trying to prevent any small extremist groups entering power, while the East has turned into a strict communist dictatorship under Stalin's control. The West, Great Britain, France, and the US have decided to combine their 3 parts to form the Federal Republic of Germany. After hearing about the West's name change, the area occupied by the Soviet Union has decided to change their name to Democratic Republic. This change also occurred in the Golden City, Berlin, which means Democratic West Berlin is entirely surrounded by the East Communist Germany. As tempers are rising between the East and the West, the question we are all dying to know is what will happen next. Back to you, Dalton.
Thanks, Delwyn. That was great. Now we're going to jump straight into the debate with Brett and with Kuzik. Here we go.
Hello, and thank you, Dalton. This is a very continuous and ongoing concern for us all. I mean, we have the U.S. and the Allies from the West with their democratic way of government, but then we also have the Soviets from the East with their dictatorial way of government. I sense this is going to be a very intense and possibly dangerous game of cat and mouse. You're right. The U.S. and the Soviet Union were allies in the war against the Nazis, but have now become sworn enemies. Before the war, they didn't agree with much, but they had no reason to disagree on it. But now, they've occupied the same city. They're practically on top of each other, and things are starting to heat up. I mean, they've gone to such extent as to create a divide between them as seen by Delwyn out in the field. This is really going to get interesting. It looks like it's going to be going on for quite some time. I mean, Truman's a man that doesn't give up easy, but we got to give him credit for that. And then we have Joseph Stalin over here. This is a man that is ruthless and does whatever he wants. He killed 6 million of his own people because they disagreed with him. He's a man that should not be trifled with. But you also have to remember, the United States have created and successfully used the first ever atomic weapons. I mean, here we have a country that's ended the entire Pacific theater of the war with these weapons. I mean, what's to stop them from going at Russia if anything ever were to break out? Ah, yes, but you gotta look at it. The Soviets aren't far behind, and if I'm not mistaken, a few spies were actually arrested from within the inner circle of the Manhattan Project, which creates added tension between the 2 superpowers. I mean, who'd trust someone that was spying on you? I know I wouldn't. But you also have to remember, the United States have created and successfully used the first ever atomic weapons. I mean, here's a country that ended the entire Pacific theater of the war with these weapons. Who knows what else they're capable of?
Sorry about that. We seem to be having some technical difficulties. Please excuse this. We'll be right back after this commercial.
Pee Wee Reese has a way with Dodger rookies or Sandlot youngsters. Pee Wee, you do a lot of work with boys.
Not work, Al. I like baseball and kids. I enjoy helping teenagers start right.
Oh, that's around shaving age, and you give them pointers on personal appearance, too?
Yes, a boy has more self-respect when he's clean shaved. I tell him to use a Gillette razor, Al.
You said it, the Gillette Super Speed Razor. And today there are 3. Light for sensitive skin and most younger men. Regular for average skin and beard. Heavy for men who like the heft and feel of a heavier razor. Each is different, precisely engineered. One has the right blade edge exposure, edge angle, and weight to shave you in a breeze. Comfortable, good-looking shaves you may never have had before. And convenient, you change blades and rinse clean so. Choose your Gillette Super Speed Razor. $1.29 with Gillette Blue Blade dispenser and handy travel case.
Welcome back. As always, we end the show with This Day in History. This day in history, back in 1887, American writer Stephen Crane survived the sinking of the Commodore off the coast of Florida. This 25-year-old writer gained fame after publishing the novel Red Badge of Courage in 1896, a Civil War book from the soldier's point of view. We're all glad you're okay. That's all the time we have today. Make sure you tune in to the One News channel after 10 when we discuss why everyone's so angry. Thanks for tuning in.